and good evening. Welcome again to Branco Broadcast. I am Bob Branco. We're very pleased to have an old friend of mine on the show. I was on his former show promoting my book back in April of 2013. He had a show back then called Blind Matters, but now he's here to talk about his other show, Blind and Beyond. Michael Golder, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So just give us a brief background of the show and all the stuff that goes along with it, and then we'll ask you what we want to ask you afterwards.
Okay. Well, we have a radio show called Blind and Beyond. And the radio show is on every Sunday night, 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. It's on the radio, on the AM dial right now in Orlando, and you can stream it all over the world, and people do. You can call in, or you can listen on TuneIn Radio, if you have an app, or you can dial the 518 number in Albany, New York, and you can get right to the studio with just dialing number, and you can listen to the show on the 518 number. Our plans, I guess you say starting in August, we'll be opening up more radio stations around the country. Formerly, we had a radio show called Blind Matters. And Blind Matters was a very successful radio show that we had on the radio 2.5 years. We were in 12 radio markets. We were talking to, they told me, over 1 million folks. It was really moving along very nicely. But the problem was I got cancer. And due to all the treatments I was getting for the cancer, the doctor wanted me to close down the show and not have any stress. So we shut down Blind Matters. That show at that time, you could hear it in Boston on the radio, on Wheezy. You could hear it in Philadelphia. You could hear it in New York. You could hear it in Atlanta. You can hear it in every major city in Florida. You could hear it in Memphis, Tennessee, Little Rock, Arkansas, Atlanta. And the show was moving along, going on the West Coast when I got the cancer. And we shut it down, and after the doctor gave me the okay that I could go back on the radio, we decided we weren't going to go in that direction of investors, because when we had Blind Matters, we had investors. And we were opening up more and more radio stations, which was costing us a lot of money. And the bottom line is we decided to change and go in a different direction. And the direction we went to was, first of all, we called now the radio show Blind and Beyond, because it's going to be more beyond than the blind community, which I'll tell you about in a second. We decided to call it Blind and Beyond. And second, it became a nonprofit radio show, and we recently became a 501c3, which means we can get grants and go to many different places to get money besides our advertisers in order to grow and have radio stations around the country. Because we plan to go back to cities that we went off the air, places like Boston and many other cities. We'll be opening up in August, starting in South Florida, and Miami, and Fort Lauderdale, and Boca, and in West Palm Beach. We'll be opening up in Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be opening up in San Diego, California. This will be sometime end of August, maybe September. Blind Matters and Blind and Beyond had the same format, basically. I took it, I copied it from Johnny Carson Tonight Show. May he rest in peace. It was Johnny Carson Tonight Show. It was a great show that lasted many years. And it was a fun show, entertaining. We just flipped it a little bit, and we made it informative. So now it's a fun, entertaining show, which is informative. So we always have guests on that's informative from the community, and all over the world. And we have, I guess you'd say music. If you call in, you get who's winning. We have prizes like a $10 gift card from Dunkin' Donuts, restaurants for $10. We always give a nice prize. If you can guess who's singing, you end up with a $10 gift card. So we have prizes. We have serious matters. We have times you'll laugh, times you may cry from very serious things that are going on. And the radio show is a very serious thing to myself because we don't take it lightly, because we know what we're doing for the community. And when I first thought of this, to go out and do something for the community, there was a reason. And the reason was when I went blind, I was on the radio station, and two people happened to knock me, and my wife and I heard them making fun of myself being blind, and we heard them talking about that I was a freak and about my using the cane, and one of them said he liked to hit me with a baseball bat because he said myself and my cane, that other people should be on the radio like them rather than me. And the bottom line is these two guys were sighted. Well, when my boss heard what happened, they fired both of these fellows, and he then turned to me and said to myself, what would you like us to do? What would you like to do? Because he felt very bad what happened. And I said, I'd like to inform the sighted community about folks like myself that are blind. Because I admit, when I was sighted, I didn't know a blind person. And I didn't know anything about a blind person. And I said I would like the sighted community to understand how the blind community thinks and how we are. We're human beings, and we have a lot to say in the sighted world. And I would like to have many things that's going on in the sighted community as well as the blind community. I wanted to have what we call the bridge. And I still call it today. Every time we have a show, I always say we are the show that's created for the visually impaired and the blind community, but we are the bridge between the blind and the sighted. And this way, when they listen to the show, and we have about 25% of our audience, we feel that's sighted because they're always calling up. We hear them all the time calling up for trivia and things like that. And we know when they call up, they're always amazed by all the people that are blind, what we do. Because a lot of folks that are blind do a lot with their life. And one of the things we stress on the show, that there's more to life than your eyes. As a matter of fact, when the radio station that hired me originally, and he hired me, and I said, you realize I'm blind? And he said, I don't care about your eyes. I care about your mouth. Can you talk? And I said, oh, I can talk. And he said, I hear that, and that's why I'm hiring you. I'm not hiring you for your eyes. I'm hiring you for your mouth. So he's hired me. I became the best salesman that he ever had. And today, maybe 9.5 years later, he's very good friends with me. And I'm not on the radio station anymore that he's on, that he owns. We're on a different radio station. And the bottom line is that Line and Beyond radio show is going, well, let's just say not in a different direction. We're going to probably add on another half hour to our radio show because right now we're 2 hours. But we're talking right now, it's in the baby stages, but we decided that there's many other things in this world that we would like to talk about and be part of. And we decided that we want, first of all, that the first half hour of the show, which will be, then it'll become a 2.5 hour show, will be for kids. Because we don't have any kids now in the audience. Our audience basically is from 45 up. We have only a few people under the age of 45. Most of our audience is 45 to 75. So we want to go after kids that are visually impaired, blind, and also other, let's just say, handicapped situations. There's a lot of folks outside that are, let's just say, have kids that have problems, and they need help, and they need a show where they can tune in and talk about. So this is what we're talking about right now, and we're going to build up in a very big way the first half hour, and then later on we might go to an hour. We'll see how long it's going to take us to do what we want to do, to work with the kids, because there's a lot of different problems, autism, handicapped people as far as their legs and their hands, all different kinds of problems besides blindness. And all I know is now that I've been blind for about 9 years, 9.5 years, I found that people that are blind don't realize there's a lot of other things worse than being blind. I mean, I feel that I'm blind. God wanted me this way. That's why I feel that I'm blind, because that's what I believe. I believe in God, and I believe this. But how about if you have Alzheimer's and you don't remember your family? You don't even know who anybody is. To me, that's worse than blindness, when you don't have a brain and you can't use it, or any other these other terrible, terrible things. Because I know, thank God, I can still walk around. Thank God I can hear my family and I can talk to them. And the point is, I do have right now 3 jobs. They're all involved. I'm 2 radio stations that I'm vice president of. And I realize in today's world that you have to be aggressive, you have to be persistent, and you have to focus in on whatever you want. And when we talk about it on the radio today, the question is, I said last week's show, do you want to be a U or an E? U stands for unemployed, E stands for employed. And the point is, there's a lot of people out there that could be an E if they really, really wanted it. But the problem is, they don't go to plan B. They're always on plan A. And plan A, well, may never work. So you have to go and be creative and go to another situation that maybe you never thought about before. I mean, if you would have said to me when I was sighted that I was going to be on a radio station or work for a radio station, I would say to you, I don't know anything about radio. But the point thing is, you have to reinvent yourself when something happens. When I lost my sight, well, I had to come back. And as Rocky Balboa from the show Rocky, which I love Rocky because I'm from Philadelphia. Rocky basically was around in Philadelphia. And Rocky Balboa, in one of the show called Rocky Balboa, he was talking to his son. And the line that I'm going to tell you right now is what I believe in very strongly. It's not how many times you've been knocked down, because life isn't fair. It's not how many times you've been knocked down. It's how many times you get up. And what you do is when you get up and what you do. Do you walk like you have someplace to go? Or you sit there saying, I'm blind, I can't do anything. I'm blind, I can't do anything. Well, that's not my world. I'm blind and I do something and I walk like I have someplace to go. And the point being is very simple. This is what Blind and Beyond is all about, the positive thought. If people tune in us, they will hear people who are positive talking. They'll hear arguments with me on the radio saying a statement that I made a few weeks ago. We had a lot of calls about it. I still maintain my thinking. I said people can have a job if they really want it. The question is, do they really, really, really want it? And most people don't. They want the money, true. They want the money. They want it handed to them on a silver platter. But the question is, why don't they want to work? And the question is, unless someone is handicapped and can't use their mouth, or they can't use their hands, or they can't use whatever they got besides their eyes, they can do something. Because I know for a fact there's companies outside looking for people that are blind, and you have to be blind to get some of these jobs. The IRS looks for people. There's a company out of World Service for the Blind out of Little Rock, Arkansas. They hire people all the time if they're visually impaired, and they teach them how to work for the IRS. They start them out at $35,000 a year with all kinds of benefits. And that's just one situation. I know of many situations. In Orlando, they're looking for people right now to be working in call centers, and they're paying nice money for call center work. So there's places all over the country. I start off by telling you all I lived in Boston up until I was 3. Well, what happened was my father got a job offer, and he needed a job. So we went to Philadelphia. We didn't know anybody in Philadelphia. But my father said he's got to go for a job and make money. And I was taught, and this is something else we talked last week, the job, making money, is more important than the family. Because our family was all from Boston and New London, Connecticut. My father's side's from Chelsea and Revere. That's all his people, Chelsea and Revere. And my mother's side's all from New London, Connecticut. Philadelphia, we didn't know a soul. And my father said he's got to go work to make a job and make money. And he told my brother and myself all our lives one thing: the money and the job comes first before the family. Why? Because if you don't have any money, you can't support your family. And it's great to have a family, but if you have no money coming in, well, that's a problem. And the bottom line is that's why I guess you'd call me a type A personality, because I learned that from my parents, to have a type A personality, to have the drive and be aggressive and positive. So when I lost my sight, well, let's put it this way. I had a multi-million-dollar business. I was the CEO and president of a manufacturing of clothing business. I was in the garment industry for more than 50 years. We were doing millions of dollars worth of business. And we were, as you would say, in the penthouse, making a lot of money. And when I went blind, I went from the penthouse to the toilet as fast as you can snap your fingers, because the sighted community did not want to work with me. The banks all ran away. And in my world, if you don't have banks supporting you and helping you with your accounts receivable and everything else, you're out of business. And we had to, well, let's put it this way, we had to go out of business because of my blindness. And I went from everything that I knew for 50 years was in the garment industry. I didn't know anything else. And when I turned around, and because I signed $3 million worth of notes to the different banks, and my wife signed also, we had to declare bankruptcy. They took everything from us, the cars, the houses, everything. We were left, as you would say, destitute. We had no money of any kind. My wife lost all her jewelry, everything. The only thing we had was the clothes on our backs and a few other things, minor things. No cars, no nothing. So we had to stand in line in Florida to get food, because on Saturdays Saturday in Florida, you can stand in line and get food free if you stand in line. And we stood in those lines to get food. So I know what it is to be on the curb, as they say. The only thing I had going for me was I had Social Security, because at that time I was just 65 and I had Social Security coming in. So we lived on my Social Security, and I lived on some of the samples. I had a few samples that I kept to sell us. And then one day, my wife, who can see, saw in the paper, there was an ad for a salesman for a radio station. And that's where I went to get a job, and I went to the radio station. Then the rest is history, and that's when I said the gentleman who hired me, he was listening to me, and I made him a commercial. He loved the commercial. Matter of fact, I made the commercial so good he ran down and he bought the food at where I was selling, and this went up for an award in California, and I came in, I don't know, second or third in the entire country for a commercial, 1-minute commercial that was new and creative. And all I can say is this way. Yes, I got knocked down when I was blind. I got knocked down again when I had my cancer. And the doctor, when I got cancer, did not think it was too good. Because I had to go for a lot of treatments for 2 months. I had radiation every day for 2 months. And I was getting needles up the yin-yang besides the radiation treatments. And I have so much problems today from it. But all I can tell you is this. As I said before, it's not how many times you've been knocked down and how many times you get up and what you say. So Blind and Beyond is a radio show that if you want to, let's say, listen, laugh, get a kick out of. My wife and I are always arguing, and that's what we do in person as well, because she's the love of my life. And I'll be going, I can't see, and I'll say to her, well, can we do this now? And she'll say sometimes, no, we'll do trivia. In a few minutes, we have to do something else, because we have a clock. And every minute of the 2 hours is spoken for, because she works on the show to make the show go rapidly, and it goes quick. And the whole 2 hours goes quick. When the show's over 2 hours, you'll say, wow, I didn't realize it was 2 hours. And we have advertising, commercials. Most of the commercials are done by blind people. Besides myself, we have people who come in and do commercials live for the commercials. So it's a very interesting show. So we try to get people all over the country. I can't say all over the country because we had some people listening in Australia, and the gentleman called in and said, could he talk on the show? And he had something to say. What he just did, that he got the airplanes in Australia to put in for the blind community audio on the planes, because they didn't have audio, what he was doing before he got the airplanes to put in audio, because everywhere from Australia, everywhere you go, to England, United States, wherever you're going to go from Australia, it's like 18 hours or more. So people, before he got involved, people who were blind just had to sit there. They couldn't do anything. So what happened was he put this audio in. So we had a show. He talked about 15 minutes about what he did. And now he's getting part of the show. He calls it all the time, or he has something to say. It's very funny. We have a lot of people from Jamaica listening to us, and a lot of people in Canada. And we always have people who are calling in or have something to say. And if they're in the clock, we can let them talk for basically 10 minutes. If they're not in the clock, they call in and they can speak to 1 or 2 minutes during a show if they have something to say. If they have nothing to say, they'll call in and like last week or this week, it was Mother's Day or Father's Day, people call up and say, I want to say hello to my father, or I want to just say that I miss my father or something because he's passed away. But the show is, well, if you want to go to our website and listen to a lot of the shows, they're all there. Every show we have, we archived all of them. On the second, I'll tell you how you can do it and how you can listen to the show and how you it's all blind friendly. If you can use a computer, it's all blind friendly. You can go right to our website, which is blind friendly, and you can listen to the old shows that are on there. They're on there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, archived. You can listen to all the things that people wrote about us. And we have pretty much all your major folks, like the blind folks in Orlando, which is our major sponsor, is Lighthouse in Orlando. That's our major sponsor. They signed up for 6 months, and they renewed it for another 6 months. Now they just renewed it for 1 year. They're on there till March 2018, paying a lot of money. We have another company from World Services of the Blind in Little Rock, Arkansas, who is another major sponsor. And they just signed up for another 1 year to be on the show. So we have folks that are signing up for 1 year. That's March 2018. And then we have other sponsors. And very soon we're going after grants. We hired just someone who's going to handle grants. So we have people that are working for Blind and Beyond. Some people want to make money, and they come and work for us. And this is how we're growing. We plan to be, over the next year, year and a half, probably in about 15 different major markets all over the country, including Boston, Philadelphia, and other major cities. So Seattle, San Diego. These are all stations that are coming up over the next year, a year and a half. So that's Blind and Beyond story. Anybody else would like to ask me something? My pleasure.
Hey, Michael, this is Stephen. I'm from Massachusetts. I think that what you're doing is really good. I love the message. We always need to hear that, no matter how many times we have, because you were talking about Plan B. It sounds like you went to Plan C after you went blind, and then you had the cancer. And, I hope everything's cleared up with that, and I wish you the best, and I'd like to get in touch with you, and I'll email you or something, because I got a lot of things I would like to talk about offline.
Well, thank you very much for saying that. And if you can spread the word about the radio show, we're advertising right now all over the country to get people to listen, as well as advertising. We just contacted all the different reading books, all the book people that read, all the books are getting on board with our radio show. So we got now the veterans that are now part of the show in a big way. We had different people on Memorial Day on our show. If you listen to the Memorial Day show, you'll hear them talking. So that's what we're trying to do, trying to make a statement and get people to listen. And at the same time, for those folks, and I can say people have called up and they said, thank you for pushing us because we needed a little push. That's what it's all about. Because the amazing thing is, which I had to talk for NFB, because NFB is going to come on our show July the 2nd. And I think they want to be part of our show now, NFB, National Federation of the Blind. And one of the things I was saying, which they really don't want to hear, but it's the truth. They tell me that they have about 50,000 members, NFB.
Yep.
American Council says they have about 50,000 members too. So they both have very much about the same 50,000 people. Now, if you think about that, some of this figure I'm going to tell you. They say that there's somewhere around 12 million people in this country that are visually impaired or blind. Now, that's supposedly from the IRS and the United States government. Now, if that's true, that means there's not even 1% of the blind community is affiliated with some kind of group. Not even 1%. 99% of people are not affiliated with NFB or the American Council of the Blind or any other group. Now, we have right now, supposedly told me, that we have about 300,000 people listen to our radio show right now and growing. Now, that number, I would say probably by fall, that when in more radio cities, big cities like San Diego, like South Florida, and other cities like that, we should be up somewhere around at least 400,000 to 500,000 people. And my goal is to be up somewhere by Christmas, up somewhere around 700,000. That's my goal, going into Seattle, going into other places like that, maybe Boston. If I can do it by Christmas, I'm going to do it, have Boston back on the air, because Boston, believe it or not, with Blind Matters was our number one radio show. That was our number one market when we had Blind Matters. More people were listening to our radio show in Boston, in Massachusetts, in New Hampshire, than any other place. That was amazing. I couldn't believe it, that so many people are listening in Massachusetts.
Michael, it's one thing for radio stations to sell time to radio shows. It happens all the time in the industry. But it's quite another thing for them to want a particular type of programming. How do you accomplish that part of it?
That's simple. It's all about money. Money is the driving factor.
So the radio stations in question, they don't care about the theme that they offer as long as the money is there.
Absolutely. Bob, if you have a show that's halfway decent, let's use the word halfway decent, and you're bringing a message to it, you can go on any major station in this, well, let's take Massachusetts. If you have a following, you know you have a following, you have something that you're going to say. I mean, you can't talk about your thumbnails, you can't talk about your fingernails, but if you have something to say, and if they say to you, well, I want $250 an hour, and you have to sign and give me a signed contract that you're going to sign for them for a minimum, let's just say, of $10,000. Well, for $10,000, you can go on most radio stations right now for $10,000. But you're not going to go on there and say, well, I'm going to go for a week, and I'm going to give you $250. No, that won't work. You have to sign up. That's one of the reasons I went in not going anymore with the investors. I would change the name to Blind and Beyond because the pressure was so much. Our pressure was so much because to get the advertisers to go in and pay and to do it. I mean, to have a radio show like Blind and Beyond, you're talking about a lot of work.
What kind of advertisers do you have?
I'll come in that 1 second. The biggest work is not to be a host on a radio show. That's the easy part. The hard part is to go sell the advertisers to come on the show. Mm-hmm. You mentioned like who? Well, let's just say you have to go to a place like Perkins and sell them on. You want to go on the radio in Boston. I want Perkins to advertise. I want Perkins to back my show. And they're going to say, okay, here's $12,000. Okay, but you have to have a following. When I went to Lighthouse, they knew I had a following. They knew it. So the point is, they wanted to grow, but they also knew I had a following. So they voted on sponsoring our radio show. But the point is, they knew I had a following. So right off the bat, they knew in Orlando, we knew we had at least 100,000 people that we can get on the radio. So the point is, that's what they were counting on. Because they wanted to get more and more members to come to Lighthouse. And that's why they're putting money out. Every month, they give us money. So when you talk about a radio show, yes, you have to have a good radio show. You have to have a following. And you have to have money up front. So if you don't have money, you better have something that you're going to bring to the table where someone's going to say, okay, here's a check for $10,000, here's a check for $15,000 to get you going. Yeah. And that's an issue. So that's how you get on the radio first. Now, if you have a following, you can get radio stations. And the reason why Boston came on, I'll tell you how Boston came on, was the first thing was money, but the other thing was I had a following. They picked up the phone and they called other cities that we were on. And they were amazed about what they heard in Orlando. Because the Boston radio station, in Orlando, they were brothers and sisters owned by the same company. So they called down in Orlando to find out, is this true that we have such a big following in Orlando? And they said yes. And then we went to Boston. Then we went to Philadelphia. And we said the same thing. So right off the bat, everybody was piggybacking on somebody else. So the point is, it's not very hard if you have the money, if you have the following to get on radio stations.
Michael, I wanted to change to talk about the young people, the children. What are your ideas about having a program for them?
Right now, it's my daughter, who's a PhD doctor, wants to work with children. She's working with children all her life. And she's pushing me to do things for kids, not just that are blind, but autism, other kids that are handicapped. I mean, she has gone to so many different places. Right now, she lives in Atlanta, and now she's doing something in Boston over this next few days. They're making something for the film, and she's working in the film on education, and it's all about handicaps and things like that. So the point is very simple. I'm a baby at heart. I may have a A-type personality, but anything to do with kids, that's my first thing. If people, I can't, when I go to my eye doctor, I go all the time to the eye doctor. Even though I'm blind, I still go to the eye doctor because you should go all the time anyway for your glaucoma. People say, well, I'm blind. What am I going to the eye doctor for? Well, that's false because if you have to keep away from glaucoma, you should go get your numbers checked all the time because if you don't, then you're an idiot. Because the point is, if you're blind, if you get glaucoma and it goes bad, you don't realize it can hurt your whole mind. You can have tremendous headaches, and you don't even want to go there if you have your numbers. But if you go, my numbers were 40, and he brought it down to 15. And when your numbers are over 21, it's bad. 30 is terrible, and 40 is a disgrace. And mine was a disgrace. I didn't lose my eyes I lost my eyes due to stress. And most people don't even realize that you can lose your eyes due to stress. But if you ask most doctors, they have a whole thing on stress. We did a whole thing on stress.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have stress in your life, you can get cancer, which I did. You get stress in your life, you can lose your eyes because it's all about your – my eyes, other than glaucoma, my eyes are good. There's nothing wrong with my eyes. It's the reason why I'm blind, it's the brain that goes from the brain to your eyes
Optic nerve.
don't work. So the bottom line is I had too much cortisone in my brain. Cortisol, my wife always corrects me. And the bottom line is that's how I lost my sight. It wasn't my eyesight that went bad. It was my brain that went bad. So anyway, reference.
So Michael, they call that cortical visual impairment, correct? The state of Massachusetts has now recognized that as a form of blindness.
What is it? What?
Cortical visual impairment? Something like that, or maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's where the brain doesn't get the message from the eye, but the eyes are good.
And what's it called that I have? 1 second, I'll let my wife just say it. Well, what's it called that I have? What's the famous name?
Idiopathic.
Wait a second.
Idiopathic central serous retinopathy.
Did you hear my wife say it? Because I'm lucky if I can say it.
No, it wasn't very clear.
My wife says it means they don't know anything what I got. All I know is the brain is not working to the eyes, so I can't see. I'm blind. So I can only see shadows. I can't see anything more. If I'm 4 feet away from my wife, I don't even know it's my wife. All I've seen is shadows. If I am, let's say, within, say, 4 inches or 5 inches of her, I could possibly make out something about her body shapes. But I have to be that close. I have to almost touching her face by my eyes to almost make anything. Otherwise, I can't see nothing. I can't see any writing. I can't see. I see shadows. So the point is, I'm lucky that I can at least see daylight. I can at least get around by my cane and my navigator. I mean, a lot of my friends are totally blind. They have no light. They have no vision, nothing. And all I know is I went blind at an operation about 3 months ago, and I was totally blind, zero, for about 2 weeks before I came back from the operation. And when I got my eyes back, I said, gee, I'm lucky again because I know what it is not to have. I know what it is to be sighted. I know what it is to be totally blind, zero, and I know what it is where I'm at now. And I'm thankful whatever I have now because I found in my life today, whatever I got, I'm still above the grass. And as long as I'm above the grass, I'm doing okay. And the point
this is Marcy.
What?
Steve, Steve, don't you remember they did a study on that, the Carroll Center? I don't remember the name of it.
Oh, you mean the one I did?
No. Before we were called for the study, they did a study on that. I'm on the computer backtrack, but I can't find it.
Remember, they do a lot of studies over there.
What they did is a study on what? Stress?
No, what you're describing, they did a study on it for the vision part. But I can't find it.
We did a whole show. A lot of things that a lot of people have we did a show on each category, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our people have RP. So I don't know if any of you have RP. So we've had many shows on different things, whether stress, RP, on different things. So that's what makes our show exciting, fun, because I'll bring in talking about stress, and then I'll talk about completely something else. So every week we have something that comes up that is different. And like this week coming up was about Father's Day, and we'll talk about Father's Day and have Father's Day. And so every week is something different.
Mm-hmm. Michael?
Go ahead, Don.
Okay, thanks.
Excuse me, Don. Let's everybody mute their phones except for Don. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, okay, thanks. This is Don from Central Mass. Can either you or Bob tell me what frequency number that the Boston station carries that?
Well, no station in Boston right now carries it at this present moment.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's too bad.
I'll tell you all how to get this, so you can listen to the show. Okay, first, you can listen on the web, on the internet. That's first. Okay, and all you have to do is go to our radio station. Actually, you can go to, you can go to a radio station, or you can go to our website. A website has it right on there, listen live.
Yeah.
Or you can, if you have an app on your phone that says Tune In Radio, you can listen on an app on your phone. Or you can go on your dial a number 518, and you can dial anywhere in the United States and Canada. 518 number, and you can go right to the studio and listen to our phone on 518. You can listen to the show.
What is the 518 number?
I don't have a computer. That's why.
I don't either.
Okay, but you don't have to have a. I'm just telling you. I'm going to tell you right now. The 518 number, if you can remember or write it down, I'm going to say it a few times.
Yeah.
The number is 5. I'm going to say it slow. 518. Okay, you got that? 518.
Yeah.
712.
Mm-hmm.
0057. Did I say it right, Lynn? I'll say it again. It's 518 712 0057.
Okay, that's an easy number. Now, when are you on, Mike?
Every Sunday night from 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. 7 to 9, 2-hour radio show.
So what do I look for on TuneIn? Do I say Blind and Beyond, or?
If you go to the app on TuneIn Radio, it's going to say WOKB 1680. I'll say it again. WOKB. W like words. O like Oscar. K like King. B like boy. WOKB 1680 on the dial.
All right.
That's it. That's all you have to do. And it come up 7 o'clock. You listen to the show.
All right.
If you go to
you're in competition with Bob's a Sunday night chat.
Well, we'll have to get Bob some sponsors then.
Yeah. Well, this coming Sunday is Father's Day, so I'm going to be tied up with the family. So but I took that number down, Mike. And I will tune in one of these times.
Michael, what's your website?
Our website, by the way, you can listen to any show if you have computers. You can listen to any radio show that's there. You can 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can listen to any show that's on there. They're all on there. I think right now there's about 65 on there right now. Over the last more than a year, it's almost a year and a half now, whatever it is. It's there, all of them. And if you go to our website, you can listen to that. You can listen to all the comments people have made. People that the CEO of the lighthouses, all the different organizations are all in there.
Okay, but what is the website?
It's called, I'm going to go now, Blind, BLIND, and A-N-D, Beyond. Blind and A-N-D and Beyond radioshow.org. I'll say it again, blind and beyond radioshow.org.
Okay. Now, can we contact you through
radioshow.org?
Thank you.
If any of you wish to write, if you have anything that you wanted to say, if you give any PSAs, or anything else you want to talk about, whatever you want to talk about, just write to me at Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, at blindandbeyondradioshow.org.
All right, great.
Michael, which radio station in Boston were you on before with your other show, and which one do you plan to be on for this show?
Wheezy, to answer that question. You ever hear Wheezy?
Wheezy.
Wheezy.
W-E-Z-E, right?
Yeah, Wheezy. It's the number one Christian gospel radio show in New England. It wasn't gospel? What was it? It's just the number one Christian radio station in New England. It had a huge, you could hear it from New Hampshire, all the way down to the Cape. You hear it clear as a day. It was an unbelievable market.
Are you you planning to go on that station when you get to Boston or something? You don't know yet. Okay.
Don't know
yet.
No.
Excuse me.
You said that you were on a radio station in New York City. What was it?
What was our station in New York, hon? Do you remember? I don't either. You know what? I don't remember. To be honest with you, it was out of Fort Lee, New Jersey. It was out of Fort Lee, New Jersey, and it covered the area I wanted to cover. It covered from.
Was it 970? That used to be in Hackensack. They called the Answer at the Christian station.
I think so. You know what? I think so. I wouldn't swear to it, but I think so. I think it was 970, Lynn, something like that. The Answer. I think so.
Yeah, because I never could get it. You said that they said that you were going to be on at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. I never could pick it up.
Oh, okay. Well, that's one of the reasons we left there was because a lot of people were complaining that they couldn't get it when we were on there. They had a very bad signal. You have to understand something. Being in Florida, I don't know when you talk about the country, I don't know the wattage. They tell me the wattage, and I hear, and then they tell me where they go. Like Wheezy told me, and I didn't know how good it was. And then later on, I found out where all these people are calling me from. Then I find out when it was New York, we had a very limited people calling from New York, and then I found out why. New York was never big with us, and that was one of the reasons. And they were also very expensive. So we were getting paid with charging that was not good for us. Yeah. In other places, Philadelphia was unbelievable. Philadelphia had a huge audience, and they were okay. I mean, it depends. I mean, now that we're nonprofit 501c3, we're getting breaks as far as prices, but they're still very pricey.
Mike, how much do you charge
Jeff,
for advertising?
Excuse me.
Jeff, you're next.
What?
Okay, Mike, what state are you going to be in the Cincinnati market? I mean, you've never been on it before. Or the Chicago market?
No. Right now, I have no plans to be in Cincinnati or Chicago. The problem with Chicago, most of the stations I've spoken to, and it's prohibitive to be in Chicago. It's costly.
You're lost.
Okay, Jay, you're next.
Mike, how much do you charge for advertising per spot?
Good question.
Be honest with you, it depends. We have a rate card, and if you are in the blind community, I always give a better price than my normal prices, and our prices are going to go up very soon because when we start opening up these other markets, we'll be charging more money starting in about 3-4 weeks. We'll charge more money because starting in August, we go into some other markets. So, can
we find that information on your website?
What?
Can we find that information on your website, or?
No, we don't get a website. When someone calls us, we send out a rate card. If they are like I'll give you an example. we have an advertiser now from someone who was interested in selling life insurance for blind folks for what they call it burial insurance. And he was telling me it was very hard for someone who's handicapped or blind to get burial insurance because of the health questions. And it was expensive. The company then turned around and said to me that he will do it at a very inexpensive price and with no asking any kind of health questions. Because part of the problem, so you'll understand something, when you take out a $10,000 policy and let's say they're going to quote you $50 a month, you think, oh, that's a lot of money, $50 a month. Wait a minute. That's only $600 a year. So if you live another 10 years, that's costing $6,000, and you took out a $10,000 policy. So if you died in 10 years, they lost $4,000 on you. Not only did they make any money, but they lost $4,000. So
but being blind doesn't necessarily mean you're going to die earlier than anyone else, unless you're diabetic or something.
But I agree 100% what you're saying, except one thing. You know, and I know when you tell someone, do you have any health problems, and someone says, well, I'm blind. Right off the bat, you're in another issue. It's like if you tell people that you're blind, you have to lie and say, well, I have no problem. Because the minute you tell someone you're blind, you're right. You don't have to have health problems. But this is what happens when a lot of insurance companies, they take you at certain things. Like, I have cancer, but I beat the cancer 2 years already. So basically, I have to wait for 3 years because after 3 years, I'm okay. So a lot of companies. So we all are in categories. When you are blind, you're in a category. Everybody doesn't want to think you're in a category, but the life
you're right.
we live in a society that are you a smoker or no smoker? I'm no smoker. Okay, you drink or don't drink. Everything's a category. The minute you say, I'm a smoker, you're in a category.
Well, if you lie or you don't lie.
Category. Huh?
Or if you lie or you don't lie, and they find out after you're dead you were a smoker. But that's another story.
Yeah. But the point I'm saying is, so we have this insurance company now. We just took him on, and we gave him. So now he is part of our family of advertisers. We took on a company called Orcam. I don't know if you have Orcam glasses. And
yes, I know what that is.
Orcam as a company that's glasses. We took on a company called eSight out of Canada. eSight is also with glasses.
Wow.
So we take on a lot of glass companies. We take on a lot of other companies. We signed up a company today in Florida that they have what I call labs. When you got to go in for a doctor, he says you got to go get your blood work.
Oh yeah.
So so he wants the folks who listen to our radio show to come to him his labs. So now we're going to have him on our show. So he got it. Now we're talking to caregivers, all kinds of caregivers, or all kinds of people that want to sell, whether it's insurance. Everybody's got something. Be surprised because our let's say demographics is at least 80% of our audience is 45 and above. So people that are looking for senior citizens from 45 to 75, that's our demographics. Now very soon, if we go after the kids, I'll get different advertisers. And that's the first thing I'm going to go after. Someone who wants to advertise for the kids and sponsor the kids' show. And if you say, wait a minute, how do you know you're going to get them? I don't know. But being a salesman that I am, I will call up some companies and I will say, would you like to sponsor this show that we're going to have for kids? And somebody might be interested. Maybe the first company was all about autism. Another company may be doing something with the blind for kids. So that's how you
Mike,
get it.
how much do you charge? Mike, excuse me. How much do you charge for blind organization if they want to advertise in your program? How much in terms of dollar?
A blind organization right now, let's put it this way, it depends on, that's another thing. How many times they want to do it per show, and it goes by how many minutes. Normally, I'll give you this thought, okay? We charge now about $40 a minute.
Okay.
About $40 a minute. So if you want to be on the radio we do it by spots. So most people are on the show, they want to be on 4 spots a show. So 4 spots a show, that's 4 minutes times 4, 16. So if you're on 16 times, multiplied by 40.
$640.
It's a lot better deal in the Super Bowl, I'll tell you that.
Right?
Better deal in the Super Bowl advertising, that's for sure.
Well,
now,
very soon, we'll be going up to $60 a minute because we're going to other cities.
More people,
and advertisers have to pay for it. So it's going to be in other cities. When we had Blind Matters and we were on 12 markets, I used to charge $100 a minute. But even then, it's good because a lot of places charge $200-$300. I mean, let's put it this way: if you're in Boston and you want to go on any major radio show in Boston, on a normal show, they'll charge just for Boston. They'll probably charge a low side of $60 a minute. In a low side.
Yeah.
But the point that I'm saying is, we charge right now $40 a minute, and very soon, as I said, we'll be up to $60 when we start in August. And there's a minimum usually of 3 months or 4 months of advertising with us. So the point is, you can't do it for three weeks. You can't do it for 2 weeks. Because on radio, it's how many times you keep on over and over again. And then there's something else, too, which we always do. Some of the blind organizations especially, they want to come on and talk for at least 15 minutes. So a month. Or sometimes they want to come on twice a month. So then we begin again. So if you want to talk for 15 minutes a month, well, just multiply 40 times 15. There's $600. On top of the other that you're going to do the other 16 minutes. So it's very easy. You can spend $1,000 or $1,200 a month, depending on what you want to do.
Michael,
looks like that time is up, Michael. It's been a fast hour. You have a lot to offer. You have been very successful. I really admire and respect you for the progress that you have made over the years. Not only growing your programs, but also fighting cancer. You have a lot of strength behind you and a lot of support. And we really, really respect you for it. Continued success.
Well, I thank you so much. I thank you. I hope you all listen to the show.
Yeah, I will call in one of these times.
Okay, do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Good luck, Mike. Doing a good job.
I hope you'll listen to Blind and Beyond. And
we are listening.
Please let us know. What? I couldn't hear you. What you said?
I said I have listened a couple of times. You're doing a good job.
Well, thank you so much. What is your first name?
Jay.
Jay. Oh, did I hear you before?
Probably.
Yes, you have.
Take care.